Oh, 1, 2, 3.
Kate Mila Falls, you're very welcome along to the Brian and Kieran Warfield podcast, the ramblings of two Irish balladeers, featuring Brian Warfield of the fierce and mighty Wolfetones and his son Kieran, that's me, of the band Catalpa, and also of the Bandwagon Bus, Dublin's only musical ballad tour on wheels. So sit back, relax, grab a tea, coffee, beer or wine or whatever takes your fancy as we go rambling through life's misty foggy dew, through stories, songs, history, politics, life on the road and just a general bit of crack.
And the colours they were fine. It was gone at Derryocrum and the skilling and the vine. Oh, my father often wore it in the bygone days of yore, and it's on that quilt I love to wear the Sash Me Father Wore. On the green grassy slopes of the vine, working Billy and his men fought tonight. We fought for the glory of religion. Where? On the green grassy slopes of the vine. Now these days are gone and it's time to forget the fights fought long ago. King Billy and Sir Steeler in the grave, where you can't tell friend from foe. So let's meet again on the slopes of the vine, to view the sky so fine. And as forward we look, and united we'll be when there's no more bother line. On the green grassy slopes of the vine, where King Billy and his men fought tonight. We fought for the glory of religion.
Where?
On the green grassy slopes of the vine.
Ah yeah, the Sash Me Father Wore from the 1965 Fontana record by the Wolfetones called the Foggy Dew, Dad.
Yeah, well, I thought that the Sash Me Father Wore was a very important Irish folk song. And, to ignore that or to ignore any part of Irish history would be not being true as a folk artist to the real life of Ireland. But I have to say that, we had a manager in Belfast, Leslie Mann, who was a great, he would have been a Protestant, but a great Irishman. And he loved rebel songs. And, there was no reason why, we were going up to many parts of the north. We were playing in the Ulster Hall. We were singing like rebel songs of 1798 and of Wolfetones. And the Sash Me Father Wore was like an anthem for the Orange Order people, but it was more than that. It was like the story of the Battle of the Boyne, and that was an important battle in Irish history, and it shouldn't have been left out in my eyes. But I think we were one of the first to put the green grassy slopes of the Boyne to the Sash Me Father Wore and made it into one kind of song. But we had, at that time, we had a huge following. It was the time of, when the two parts of Ireland were beginning to come together. And we are recognising both the Protestant tradition and the Irish tradition, the nationalist tradition. So, it was a thin line to walk, you might say, but I think many of the community, the Protestant community in the north, came on the side of the Wolfetones. We played in many places around the six counties where there would have been sort of major Protestant areas, and places like Portadown, and there was a sort of coming together then, and people weren't as hard or entrenched, and that didn't happen. And I only saw it with my friends, my Protestant friends in the north, when the civil rights movement came around. They didn't like it, and I remember they never liked Bernadette Devlin, and they didn't like the whole civil rights movement. I felt like they wanted to be Irish. Definitely, they felt like Paddies, and and when we sang the Sash, it was inclusive. And we sang like the other songs, like the Old Orange Flute and things like that. But it was important to them to have their kind of tradition recognised, and then they could listen to yours. Like we used to sing like many songs about 1798. And the same kind of thing was that was nationalist tradition, although many of them were Protestants and Presbyterians. So it's a kind of intertwined relationship that we had, and I have to say that even people like Glenn Barr, who was later on one of the unionist leaders in Derry, and when I think it was the Sunday World put out a questionnaire about what was his favourite band, and he came back and he said the Wolfetones. So, there was that crossover.
Yeah. And like the Sash and the Old Orange Flute, like before the Troubles, they weren't considered their song or that side. It was a song that was sung all over Dublin, all over Ireland probably, not just Dublin, but I always remember people saying that it was a song that was sung. I actually think it was when I worked for Walton's, and Neil Walton said that was a song that was sung all over Dublin.
Well, we kind of popularised it in Dublin because, not that it was unknown, it was never unknown, but we popularised it because we put it on the album, we sang it at all our concerts, and it was appreciated by Dublin people as much as it was the people of Belfast or Derry or any other part of Ireland. Yeah. But that all came to an end, I think, during...
after the civil rights.
Yeah, and I think Paisley entrenched a lot of people as well. Because, I remember we went up for a folk concert up in his town, what's Bally...
I wouldn't know where he's from.
Well, anyhow, I'll think of it in a minute. We went up to his town and we were playing a concert there.
How you go backwards?
we were playing a show there for the young college kids who had a folk song society, and they advertised it as the story of the rebellions.
Right.
And of course, we arrived up in the town hall in Ballymena.
Oh, Ballymena.
In Ballymena, we arrived up there, and there was a group of protesters outside.
Welcoming you in.
To welcome us in. And there were
few nice banners.
No Republicans in this hall, no blah, no blah. And we found out they were Paisleyites at the time. And so, the college kids that ran the show, or the folk song society that ran the show, they were all different religions, but mainly Protestant or Presbyterian, and they were kind of apologetic to us about it and everything else. So, the concert went ahead, and we had a couple of pints with the lads and all in the bar before we went on. We went on and we done our show. We done the whole show, we included the sash and everything else. And at the end of the show, then the guy came up and he said, "Can you do the anthem?" I said, "No problem." Yeah, so. The show ended. We sang the anthem, but seemingly it was the wrong anthem. You don't sing that one in Ballymena Town Hall. No, it's the Queen you have to sing. Oh, so you said we don't know it.
So he sang it.
So he sang it, yeah, and I went in then, I flushed the toilet with the spare mic as he was singing in the middle of the thing, which is probably not a nice thing to do, but anyhow.
You were young and innocent.
Yeah, we ran out of the hall, that's for sure. The RAC came into the hall and said, "Who was the last group that was on there? We have to escort you out of town." So we escorted out of town. When we got outside, they said goodbye to the RAC. We turned around, went back to the pub. I drank with the lads till about 4 in the morning.
And then drove back down to Dublin.
And then, well, luckily we had a driver, Vincent Clare.
All right. Very good. And so, because we were doing about the Sash, I did a bit of reading up about it. And one thing I didn't know was, and I've passed it many times, going to Kyiv, or when I was working on Costa Coffee, when I used to avoid the tolls, and I go the long way around, so I wouldn't have to pay all the tolls as I was going back and forth. And when you cross the bridge there, the old metal bridge at Old Bridge there, you know?
Yeah.
And up to the left, there's blocks. And I always seen it, I thought it was the ruins of an old bridge.
Yeah.
And that's what it was called, Old Bridge. But I said, then when you look at the other one, it's quite old. And what I didn't realise was there was a plinth, that's the bottom of a plinth of a what do you call them, the same as in Phoenix Park.
Oh yeah, a statue.
An obelisk.
Yeah.
An obelisk.
An obelisk, yeah.
There was an obelisk there.
Really, yeah.
That was 130 feet high to King Billy in commemoration of King Billy.
Really,
And I had 4 different things on the side, you know, about the battle and stuff like that. And it was blown up in 1923 by 3 lads from Monaghan. They came down and blew it sky high.
Yeah, well, statues were very in vogue at that time.
Well, there was the one in Dublin on
King Billy in Dublin,
on College Green there.
Yeah, that's right.
Just up from Abercrombie, where I used to work.
Yeah.
And that had to be removed, and that ended up in Australia or somewhere, I think.
No, it was Queen Victoria.
No, Queen Victoria came off the top of the...
Oh, I know, but Queen Victoria ended up in Australia.
I think King Billy either ended up in Australia or in Canada, one or the other.
Oh, yeah, well, probably Canada. The Aussies weren't that orange. Yeah. But yeah, it was a peculiar thing about the Irish. They blowed up everybody's statue or took down the statues of all what would have been seen as the heroes of colonialism.
Yeah.
And like Lord Gough, they tried Gough about 20 times, and I think they got bits of him now and again. I think they blew the balls off the horse one time.
Poor old horse getting it.
The poor old horse was gilded, or whatever they call it. Gilded.
Gelded,
yeah. He got rid of his balls anyhow. But, yeah, there was loads of statues like that went, they blew up over the years.
Yeah.
And King Billy was lucky to survive that long because...
he got paint thrown over him, he got tarred and feathered. And
that's right, he was never liked in Dublin, you know.
No. But the Lord Mayor's chain...
Is yes, yeah.
That still has King Billy on it, doesn't it? It was given by King Billy in honour of him coming into the city.
Yeah.
As a present to himself.
Yeah, but it's still, you see, this is what I feel. Don't get rid of history. The thing about it is, I don't mind. Like even when I seeing the statue of Victoria over there in Australia, and it's in the Victoria, it's in Sydney. But when I see that and you see the statue and it's wonderful piece of sculpture and everything else like that, people, we look there and we hear about Queen Victoria and everything else and how bad she was during the famine and everything. But at the same time, when you look at that, it's history. And it's the history, what the person looked like and everything. You mightn't like what she did or anything else, but it's a reminder. It's a reminder of the history of our country. And it always annoys me that, they could knock down the statues, but they won't change the street names in Dublin.
Yeah, which is the easier thing to do.
Yeah, an easier thing to do. Like the street names like Haysbury Street, Lord Haysbury was right during the famine time, and, he was worse than any of them, and... you have all these streets called after the Duke of Westmoreland and all these streets in Dublin. So, they found it. I don't know why the statue became the target and not the street names.
Yeah.
And they could have renamed them, you know, in any way that was better than remembering these bloody people who were administrating horrible justice to the Irish people.
So that's our new campaign to rechange all the names around Dublin, all the street names.
Yeah, well, you know something? Even if they put a notice up beside the street name and say, look, Lord Haysbury was, an arsehole. Yeah, apart from that, he was a terrible, Lord Lieutenant in Ireland during the famine.
Yeah.
And, he basically was, the representative of the king.
Yeah.
Or the Queen, as it was back then. But so it was important that people should be reminded that this street is called after, as you say, the asshole called Lord Haysbury.
No, yeah, I probably not to call him an asshole, but you know what I mean.
It probably was. Yeah. He was called worse than that during the famine, I can tell you, by some nationalist people.
I'd say so.
I'd like to see what John Mitchell called him.
Yeah. If only you could go back. And then the other thing about the people up north from the other persuasion don't like to talk about is that the Pope backed King Billy. Because it was the first, am I right in saying, it was the first ever alliance of the Vatican and Protestantism.
Yeah, Protestantism.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the other thing that's I think Paisley brought it up. I rewrote the Sash.
Yeah.
Recently, and we sang it again, and
because you get a lot of criticism, but you don't. But
no.
You probably don't know about it, but I see it online, so you do get a lot of criticism for it. And I try and say, well, this is actually. But people don't read the words or don't listen to the words; they just hear the Sash, the music of the Sash, and they go, "Why the fucking Wolfetones?"
Yeah, well, in the song, I mentioned that the Pope backed the Orange faction, and the other thing was that they wore the green.
Yeah.
They wore the green cockade, where the Irish nationalists wore the white cockade.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of, I think Paisley mentioned that at one stage. I think Martin McGuinness might have told him about it.
Yeah. It was a war of two houses, really, because it was the Habsburgs against the Augsburgs. No, it was. That's what it was. It was two houses. And the French king, Louis XIV, he was expanding across Europe.
Yeah.
And the Pope didn't like it because he was becoming too powerful.
Yeah.
And so in Denmark, they provided something like 3,000 marksmen to King Billy's army to stop Louis' expansionism.
Yeah, but the Germans, the Hessians,
and the Austrians. Yeah, the Austrians provided all the horsemen. Because they were skilled horsemen, and the Pope provided money, which was I think around 100,000 at the time.
They were better equipped and better armed than the Irish faction were.
Yeah,
because although the French kind of backed,
they were trained soldiers, whereas the Irish were just peasants. Apart from the militias.
The leaders, people like Sarsfield and all that.
Yeah.
But, it was sad that, that it was so... They look upon it as a kind of Protestant victory, but it was really a Pope's victory.
Yeah.
And
exactly what the Pope wanted, which was to stop... Because that was the first victory for the other side. Like, before that, King Louis had won all the battles. That was the first battle that was won by... I think King Billy was on the Augsburgs and Louis was on the Habsburgs. But that's what it was all about. It was all about, the house of this.
It wasn't like the Pope was at war with French at that particular stage, and so we got caught in a war which was really a European war. It wasn't nothing to do. It wasn't an Irish war. Although the Irish saw it in some way, they might have got their land back that had been taken away from them.
After Cromwell.
Yeah. So they never got it back, and they never won that battle. But if you can play a little bit of the new song there on the way out, the new Sash, which kind of tells the story of that, and I know it must have been listened to by. Paisley, or else Martin McGuinness told him, because he had all the facts. We wore the green.
Yeah.
So it was a contradiction.
Yeah. And King Billy was only he was made king of all Ireland, Scotland, England after that, but he was only in power for 13 years.
Yeah, he didn't
A very
last.
short reign. Like his stature. He was a small fellow, wasn't he?
I don't know.
Well, they
about
say he was
size,
small
yeah,
because
yeah.
if you see him on his picture...
But he looks big in his horse.
Well, his horse is huge. Like, he looks small on his horse, in fairness.
Maybe they could have got the balls off that one, I don't know.
And he was lucky to survive because he was shot just before the battle, wasn't he?
Yeah, pity you didn't get him. Yeah. But anyhow, listen, it was a European war. It wasn't it was kind of an English war for the ascendancy in England, and that's the Irish got caught up, but we had no chance of winning that war.
No, because King James only had 23,000 men.
Yeah.
King Billy had 36,000, half of which were British. 7,000 were Danish, not 2,000. Sorry, 6,000 from Holland and 3,000 French Huguenots.
Huguenots, yeah.
Yeah, and then a certain amount of whatever the rest is left in Austrians.
Yeah.
But there was only less than 1,600 casualties, which is amazing.
Nothing really. Yeah.
Like King Billy army only lost 300, so that shows you how untrained were the Irish on the Irish King James's side. But King James did a legger anyway. He didn't hang around.
But the war hasn't ended. They relive it every year, 12th of July, which is the second year. It has to be the longest war in history. It's going on and probably go on for another century. No end to this.
Well, I'm all up for celebrating something like we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, but it's celebrating.
It's global. It's more. Yeah. It's more an open
more
thing.
Inclusive.
Yeah. It's not like celebrating victory of one side over another, which the Battle of the Boyne was. It's a kind of triumphant thing that we're now. You're nothing. We're the rulers of this land, and it was Protestants over Catholics, and and all that kind of thing. So it's not exactly a celebration that we could all celebrate. Not like indeed 1798 should be celebrated by all Protestants in the North because of the great Protestant rebel tradition that started off in Belfast and started off in many of the counties of Ulster when they backed the idea of splitting with England because of the way they had ruled the country. And remember that they tried to do what their friends and their relatives had done in America. In America, the Presbyterians and the Catholics fought side by side in Washington's army to get the independence of America from what was a tyrannical government in England, ruling them and trying to take money away like they did in Ireland and use it for their purpose and not for the people's purpose.
Yeah. It was Cornwallis, was it?
Cornwallis, yeah. Cornwallis was the man who capitulated to Washington, and he came back. He came back then to Ireland, and Lord Cornwall, as we called him, he was back here in the 1798 rebellion, and he made sure that he wasn't going to lose again, and he was ruthless in Ireland, and
some of the things afterwards were
sure. It was a disgrace, the way that Cornwallis came over here. He decided that he was going to probe the people into rebellion before they were ready, because he knew there was undercurrents of rebellion in Ireland, as there had been in France, as there had been in America. And the funny thing about it, the Presbyterians of Belfast celebrated Bastille Day and the Republic. And I think I put it in one of the songs, over in Belfast they're celebrating Bastille Day. The heroes of the day are the freedom-loving men of America and France who won their lands and liberty. We must take a chance and free this land from tyranny. And it goes on and tells the story about the Presbyterians and their effort to free Ireland from the tyrannical power of England.
Yeah. So I guess we leave the sash there.
It'll never be left alone. As a matter of fact, now I have to tell you this: I have a sash in my holding here as one of my little pieces of history, and it comes from the Dublin branch of the Orange Order.
Right.
And we used to hold an auction down the British Inn down there every St. Stephen's Day.
I remember it.
Yeah.
I always worked at it.
And we used to hold an auction there, but Harry Lambert, who was one of the guys from the committee, and he came up to me, he says, I won't put it up for auction. He said, but if you give me 25 quid, you can have it. I said, what is it? He said, it's my grandfather's orange sash from the Dublin branch of the Orange Order. I said, you got it. So I took it as a piece of history, and a piece of history of the Orange Order in Dublin.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Well,
it's upstairs with me with all the other shit. No, but it's something to me that is kind of special, because like I'm so interested in history that I like to have things like that. It reminds us of the past, just like a song.
Yeah, and it's always good to be reminded of the past. And you got your vaccination?
I did, yeah, and I think I got the Pfizer by whatever. But anyhow, yeah, it was
Pfizer
great.
one. Did you get the Pfizer one?
The Pfizer one, yeah. It was great to get it, and it's a bit of a comfort. And anyone I told about it, they said, "Oh, that's great, that's wonderful," because it seems like the more people that get it, the safer we're all going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when your friends here you got it, that gives them hope that they'll be coming up next, or the next group, or the next group after that. So it gives people hope to feel that, oh yeah, I know somebody who got it, and I went, vaccination once again, vaccination once again.
And you booked in for your second one?
Yeah, the second one comes on the 7th of May.
7th of May.
Yeah.
I was listening today on the radio, and they were saying that they should vaccinate everyone with the first shot instead of giving the second shot.
That's what they done in England more than...
Because they said it gives everybody some form of immunity, and it makes more sense than giving the second one, because you're already having built up, but I think to the more vulnerable people then,
Well, I don't know, like they say, like after a couple of days I would have immunity from, not from spreading or from catching it, or if I did catch it,
you have the antibodies.
Yeah, so. I wouldn't be as severe as if I didn't have the vaccine. So that's good to know that you're safe from getting a bad dose of the virus
again.
Vaccination once again. That's for the second dose.
I had a request on a messenger from Paul Larkin, and Paul is a novelist over in Edinburgh. He lives in Edinburgh. Lovely fella. And you never heard of him, have you, Paul?
I can't say I do.
Yeah.
No.
Big Wolfetones fan.
Really? Yeah.
And he has his own podcast as well, which is a football podcast about Scottish football.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to listen to him, but I will. But he's asked me to ask you about gigs in Edinburgh particularly. And in particular, he wanted to know what you thought of a place called The Venue, and if you have any memories of gigs that were played there. And then he also wants to know your thoughts on the Edinburgh's finest son, James Connolly.
James Connolly. Well, yeah, James Connolly was a great hero. I'll take that first of mine. And I remember as young boys, he was like, we are very proud to wear the Connolly badge, the Connolly Youth Association, and what it was at the time. And we wore that. And I remember being up in Belfast. We were playing at the Jim Sanders Club in Belfast, and we were on the way back. We were billeted in different houses, so we had to go back with our host, whoever it would be.
Yeah.
And it was up in Ardine, and we were billeted in different places. And myself and Vincent, Claire, who was our driver, we were nominated with this person, and someone else went with that person. We were all different houses. But anyhow, on the way back to the houses, we were stopped by British troops. And they'd shot out all the lights all around Ardine. You couldn't see a thing. It was total pitch dark. And we nearly bumped into these guys because they had all the black on their face and everything else like that. So we were put up against the wall, as the usual thing was, hands against the wall.
Did you have a few drinks in it?
Of course we did. but anyhow, he had the gun, they had the guns, so you done what you were told. But anyhow... up against the wall or whatever, and they put, freaked you up and down to see had you got the frisk you up and down to see if you got any guns or whatever. Anyhow, then the guy looks
any
down. Any
CDs or tapes?
Any CDs or tapes? No,
well, no CDs.
But he shines a lamp on my James Connolly badge, and he goes, "Oh, we got here then." And I said, "Oh, that's James Connolly's badge." I said, "Yeah, the same as that. That's my emblem. The same as that's yours up there in your hat, your badge." So they let us go eventually. But anyhow, when we got out back to the place, you see, there were small little red brick houses, two up.
Yeah, two up.
Two down. I think it was kind of 1.5 down. But anyhow, small little place. But they led us to this small bedroom, and I had a kind of a big double bed on one side near the window and a little skinny bed on the side of it. Yeah. So we're walking into the room, and Vincent jumps on the big bed. I bagged this one, he said. What could I do? Yeah. And I had to get the little skinny bed at the side. But then we were in the room, we were getting ready to go to bed and everything, and I looked over the window. There was a couple of bullet holes in the window.
In the window?
Vincent had to look at out. Jesus Christ, he said, "I'm not going to sleep here. Got to get him beside you."
The little skinny bed.
He didn't. But anyhow, he had to arrange himself in the bed where he was far from the bullet holes. So you know what I mean. Greed never pays off.
No. I remember when. Now this is again when you're thinking back to your childhood. You sort of. A lot of it becomes vague, you don't know whether it's the true or what you remember in your own head. But did you take us to Kilmainham jail when it was getting repaired, when it had just been done up? Because I remember always thinking that it was James Connolly, when we were out in the yard.
Yeah.
Is that something that would have happened?
Yeah, well,
I know you took us to Kilmainham jail quite a few times.
Yeah, but I think we myself, Derek Knoll, and a couple of our friends from Drimmen and Inchicore Bluebell, we went down during the renovation of the place, and at this stage, it was only a small committee from Drimmen and Inchicore that were involved in trying to clear the place out and try to recover the place as a monument.
When did it reopen?
It was only taken over, I don't know the exact year now, but it was well after that. And, it was like, when we went into the place, we used to go there every Saturday morning and a Wednesday night. And you got a bowl of soup, and it was just all volunteers. But we were down there, and they used to say, "Put your name down the thing there, because this is part of history and all that." So we did put our name down one of the times. I think they've found it since then. But every Saturday and every Saturday morning or afternoon, you got a wheelbarrow and a shovel and a pick, and you were asked to clear out the cells, clear out them, because all the rubble had fallen down, and it was like in big heaps with grass growing on it and everything else like that, very well compacted. So you got your pickaxe out, we filled the barrows and we brought them down and dumped it all there to be taken away later. But they were like just menial jobs that we did, it was clearing out cells and that kind of stuff. But there were a great crowd of dedicated people, and there were at the time I was down there. They were only putting the roof up on the jail, which was kind of the roof had caved in, and so before they could conserve anything underneath the roof, they needed to repair the roof, and that was the first job they did, apart from like us, the manual workers, whatever. Down there, we were clearing out the cells, and that was their part. But we were brought around the whole jail. We went when we got a bit of time. Yeah,
access all areas.
We went discovering around the place, and I remember one of the guys saying, this was the torture room down here and all that. And I remember someone saying, "Oh, that's a rack." And I've never seen it in Kilmainham jail or, as part of the exhibits. But we were brought down to the torture chambers there, and where, where they tortured the people. And they had in actual fact, they had a cell down there that filled up with water. And the water only came to your head, like to your chin. So in order not to die, you had to stay awake.
Jesus.
Because if you fell asleep, you'd drown.
Yeah.
And that was part of the torture. And, there was horrific things down there, but I don't see them exhibited at any time.
Yeah, they're not going to show that, are they? So, there's probably...
I know Anne Devlin was put in one of them.
Yeah?
She was, yeah.
So probably... They don't want you to see that side of Kilmainham.
That side of history.
Yeah. They're like the statues.
Yeah. Don't think too much about them, Brits. They're really nice people. Remember the nice black and tan.
So it says the final restoration of the site was completed in 1971. So I was 2. So I wouldn't have been.
You wouldn't have been there for the early one.
No.
But we did go down. Remember, we went down and we made a video there. I don't know whether you were there for that or not.
I don't know. I just remember being, as a young kid, just being there, and I remember you telling us about the story of...
Oh, that was probably the time we made a video there. I done like the poem, and Tommy sang the song.
Yeah,
I still have it. Yeah, I still have it.
Yeah, but in 1971, the McGill family acted as residential caretakers. Do you remember them? The McGill family?
I wouldn't know. When we were down there, we were only really boys. We were like, I was probably about, when I went down there first, probably about 15. I was there to 60 and 70, maybe on and off,
Right. So that must have been long before then, because it says the original restorations started in 1960.
Yeah, it would have been in the 60s we were there, yeah.
Oh, sorry, the Society of the Kilmainham Jail Restoration was formed in 1958.
Yeah, well, we would have been there in the 60s.
It's a great, it's now. Have you been to it lately?
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's unbelievable, the tour of it.
Yeah. But funnily enough, when we went back there, I wanted to sing, Padraig Pearse in the. It's on our video there. It's actually in the jail.
Yeah.
And the committee, the Wolfetones, we don't make it a political thing, the Wolfetones coming down here. And I wouldn't mind Keith Connolly, who was part of the setup that we are working with. And he said, my grandfather was the first one to be shot in 1916 over City Hall. And I said, do you know something else? I said, I was part of the restoration of this place. And you're a bloody, Board of Works guy telling us we can't. Oh, they let us into the cell, but they wouldn't let us show around the cell or anything like that. So it was kind of a kick in the arse for us, because I think everybody that's been in there since. You've had U2, you've had this person. I see filming all over the place. They had your man Bortello, whatever. He was in Kilmainham jail, walking around the place, talking about the place, and they refused us admission. I thought that was wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
No doubt about it.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. So it just shows you how politics work in this country. Yeah. If you're anyway Republican, they dislike you in the start because you don't give you a chance to prove yourself in any other way. They label you before you've done anything.
No, once you're in this country, once you're Republican, you're IRA and you're everything else that goes with it. They don't.
Yeah, well, to be Irish, to be Republican, I mean, It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a staunch Republican. But that's the thing that annoys me, because when the likes of the 100th anniversary, they all couldn't wait to get down to do their bit and be Republican and themselves when it suits them, like, you know, when there's a vote to be got, or, you know.
Yeah, I think that because of the influence that Sinn Féin had at that stage, that if they hadn't have done something official, it certainly would have been taken over by Sinn Féin. They would have done something. And what they did, they did some nice things and some horrible things. I remember that big concert in the theatre, the big theatre, whatever. Yeah. And there was fellas jumping through hoops and swinging out of ceilings and all kinds of things, acrobatic guys, and all that kind of thing. And there wasn't really any mention of what the thing was all about. Yeah. And, you know, we put on a concert at our own expense, a full symphony orchestra. We'd... the orchestra itself nearly cost 85 grand.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah, and
I think anyone that was there, I can't remember the numbers you got that weekend, but
but that was all out of our own pocket. Yeah. It wasn't like financed by government. We got no penny. We didn't get a mention. I offered it to RTE, and they obviously refused it, and still do. So, yeah, it's available from Vimeo. You can get it on Vimeo now. It's a remarkable concert, and I'd written a lot of songs for the event and everything else. And, of course, Kieran was there. He opened up the show for us, and it was a whole wonderful occasion.
That was brilliant. I have to say, like, it was just amazing to be part of that weekend. Like, even everyone that I meet that was there that weekend just raves about it, like, you know.
Yeah, fabulous, yeah.
You know, and I think everyone would love to revisit that.
We'd love to, yeah, but unfortunately, if you don't have COVID, you can't go to City West.
Well, I don't think City West will ever reopen as a hotel.
Do you know?
No, I really don't.
They're making too much money.
They've put planning permission in for all apartments and houses all over.
Oh dear,
and it's been given, as far as I know. So all the members were thrown off the golf course down there.
Oh dear.
And they used COVID as an excuse, of course. And
poor old Jim Mansfield had shrunk in his grave or moved in his grave, and he heard about all that. That was a plan he had for the future of the area, and I think it worked fantastically well. But
Jim did a great job.
Yeah. But his dreams were shattered.
Yeah. So back to the venue. Do you remember the venue in Edinburgh?
The venue, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I supported you in Edinburgh one couple of years back.
You did.
Where was that? What was the name of that place? That was a great.
That's the classic.
No, the Classic Grands in Glasgow.
What's this? Oh, you had a queer name, didn't you?
Yeah. I can't remember myself.
Yeah.
But it was good.
We're back there in November.
Yeah.
November the 21st, I think it is. Don't kill me now if I'm wrong, but I think it's the 21st. It's a Sunday night, and we already had sold tickets for the last one.
Yeah.
So many people held on to their tickets, and we keep getting asked, you know, when is the date going to happen? And we just confirmed a new date for it on the 21st of November, and hopefully everything is open there. So we're back in Glasgow as well, and you know, hoping that's open as well. We're in the Classic Grand for 2 nights, and I think we couldn't get the Barrowlands because the Barrowlands are only allowing, as far as I know, they're only allowing half of the people allowed into. At the moment, I think they allow about 70 and 1,800, and now they cut it down to half. And with the cost of the hall and everything else like that, sure, you know, it takes 800 people to pay for the show, never mind to make money out of it.
Yeah. La Belle Angel.
Yeah, that's it. La Belle Angel, yeah. Yeah, it was a good gig there too. A nice place, compact, smallish. But
it is, but there's a good vibe in it. Like,
great vibe, yeah.
So many allowed in that?
I'm not sure, 400 and something, I think it is. Yeah. So it's not a big place, but they're not allowed to go, you know, put too many people in. But It'll be the same in Glasgow. So many people that have their tickets for the Barrowlands can change them over to the dates in the Classic Grand, and no extra charge. We just send in your name, your ticket number, and all that kind of thing. It'll be cancelled, and you'll be sent out a new ticket for the Classic Grand. So the tickets will not be cannot be used a second time.
Yeah. And I have to say, I was very jealous looking over at the pictures of everybody in the UK going for pints today. Did you see it?
Yeah, no, I didn't, but we're allowed to take away pints, so...
I know, we were still allowed takeaway pints. I could get takeaway pints.
Of course, yeah, well, I couldn't up here.
Yeah, well, you're in the middle of nowhere. Where do you take it away from? All the pubs around you are closed.
Yeah, but we had...
permanently.
I think permanently is right. Yeah. But I think we had the great pints. I still remember the two I had down in Grey Stones.
Oh yeah, that was a great day. Out with Paul on the boat.
And I had dreams about that pint for weeks after that.
Yeah.
And then I had another one up in Mick Peelan's up the road there, and he was doing a podcast, and I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it if I get a couple of pints.
So, well, you can come down to my house on Saturday or Sunday is the Rangers game. Actually, you can. It's at 4:00, and we can get takeaway pints delivered over from Jacobs.
Oh yeah.
If you want.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's been changed to 3:00 because of.
Do they like deliver or you go collect?
No, they deliver.
They deliver, really? Yeah,
deliver
fantastic.
to your door. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be worth a go, all right.
Any excuse. Sure, come down for dinner. The people don't need to hear this on the podcast. We're just rambling on. So yeah, because the Celtic game, it was meant to be on Saturday, but it's been switched now because poor what's his name?
The Duke
died.
The Duke, yeah. Well, if we all see 99, we won't be complaining, will we?
I thought when people called him a Nazi, I thought they were just messing. Like it, but then I seen all the pictures of him at some wedding with all the all the Nazis around.
Isn't that why the Backenburgers changed their name to Windsor? Because they didn't want to be identified as Germans as they are.
Yeah.
And the Habsburg, no, they're not the Habsburg. What are they? Yeah, it's the Battenburgers. See, you ever have one of them?
This is back to all these houses again, you know.
Did you ever have a Battenburger?
No, a battered burger, all right, and a battered sausage. Anyway, we're getting near 50 minutes, lads, believe it or not.
Oh my God, fly us in.
So, what else? There's nothing else really.
Just play the folks the new version of the Sash there, and...
that's 2 sashes in one day.
2 sashes in one day.
2 sashes for the price of one.
One is the real sash, the other one is the sash.
But did you really put the green grassy slopes in the back?
Did,
that wasn't in the song before you put in it?
No.
You fecker.
Yeah. 2 songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll play out with that, so. And next week we are back with, and believe it or not, because I lost a podcast, we are now nearly up to date, so we're recording this on Monday night. You'll have it tomorrow, which will be Tuesday. So next week will be the Limerick Rake, another great song.
Yeah.
And so until then, keep spirits up. You're now allowed outside of your
vaccination once again.
You can now drive within your county. So that you can go all the way over to Arklow and Wicklow.
Yeah, I can.
Actually, you can go to Dublin as well. You're within 20k.
Yeah,
of Dublin
20
here.
kilometres in there. I'm only like 13.
But it has to be a necessary journey.
Every journey is necessary. Going from pint is necessary.
All right. Well, listen, folks. Thanks again for listening, and don't forget, pass it on to your friends and family and let them know what crack it is to listen to us 2 fella Egypts rambling on. So we look forward to speaking with you next week. Take care, have a good one. It's bye-bye from me.
And day from me.
Slán.
Oh, it was old and it was beautiful, and the colours, they were fine. It was worn at Derry Aughrim, Enniskillen and the Boyne. Oh, my father often wore it in the bygone days of yore. And it's on the 12th I love to wear the sash me father wore. On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne, where King Billy and his men fought and died, they fought for the glory of religion. Where? On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne. It was on the banks of the river Boyne the raging battle blazed. Two foreign kings were fighting for the English throne they craved. Now James was backed by Louis of France, which gave the Irish hope of regaining their land and liberty, while King Billy was backed by the Pope. On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne, where King Billy and his men fought and died, they fought for the glory of religion. Where? On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne. Now the armies faced across the Boyne, the cannon kings and pawns. Two foreign kings were squabbling for the right to England's throne. Then James the coward, he ran away and left the battle scene. The Jacobees wore the white cockade, while the Billy Boys wore the green. On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne, where King Billy and his men fought to die, they fought for the glory of religion. Where? On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne. Now these days are gone and it's time to forget the fights fought long ago. King Billy and James are in their grave, where you can't tell friend from foe. So let's meet again on the slopes of the Boyne and view the sash so fine. Then it's forward we look, and united we will be when there's no more border line. On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne, where King Billy and his men fought to die, they fought for the glory of religion. Where? On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne. On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne, where King Billy and his men fought to die, they fought for the glory of religion. Where? On the green grassy slopes of the Boyne.